welcome. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to invite you to take a moment with me to remember our deployed military members who cannot be home like most of us can be. It is a cause that is near and dear to my husband's heart and therefore my own as well. And if you feel like it, take a moment with us. Enjoy your video. Bye-bye. Hey all, TGIF. Welcome to Friday's Fraud Law Review. What was it they were saying that there's no fraud in welfare? Okay, so here we got one. It just came out a few days ago, and it's in my home state of Pennsylvania, and specifically it's out of Pittsburgh. It was published on May 30th, 2025 by the Social Security Administration's Office of Inspector General. So let's get into it. I'm not going to say the woman's name because she has not been convicted. So bear with me. I get a little stickly about that. But anyway, she's out of Pittsburgh, and she was indicted by a federal grand jury in Pittsburgh on charges of SSI fraud. And as you know, SSI is supplemental security income. It is not Social Security disability. It's just run by the same folks at the SSA to determine the disability and the eligibility. So this is what she was charged with. So it was fraud, SSI fraud, and theft of government property, of course. Turns out, okay, she was 54 years old. She's the only defendant in this little thing. So it doesn't look like she was manipulated by a Nigerian fraudster like some of the people we've recently reported on getting convicted. According to the indictment, from about May of 2021 until about June of 2023, so a little bit over 2 years, this not so fine woman, apparently she was working while collecting the SSI. Yeah, she failed to disclose events with the intent to fraudulently obtain SSI, which is a monthly needs-based payment benefit. I'm quoting here, that is afforded to people with disabilities and the elderly who have little to no income. Obviously, they have to know about your income to see if you exceed. And when you have income, as most of you know, if you're getting $900 in SSI or $1,000, it's in that range. When you get the full amount, let's say you work and make $500 a month. You can do that. If you're still disabled, that's no problem. And you can keep the first 65 without it being counted. But then the remaining 435 for every $2 you earn, $1 will be offset against the SSI. So it's still in your best interest to do the work, assuming it doesn't hurt your body or, hurt your disabilities more, because you're always going to bring home more by doing it. What you just don't want to do is earn so much that $1 off for every $2 earned ends up wiping out your entire benefit, right? Like making $2,000 a month would likely do that. But you can make a pretty hefty penny before your SSI comes down to nothing. So it's important to take note of that. In fact, really important because a lot of people's Medicaid is going to depend on their eligibility for SSI. So you do not want to lose your SSI if you're dependent on Medicaid, unless you have another source of health insurance. Or if your local Medicaid member is run by the states, for the most part, if your particular state program allows that income level to be higher than what SSI would allow, and that would go state by state. So this lovely, not so lovely lady failed to report the things she's supposed to report. And amongst the things you're supposed to report is any wages, assets, and living arrangements, as those matters are considered by the Social Security Administration when determining eligibility for you guys all know this, wages, assets, there's a resource limit, and living arrangements, because if you're getting free room and board, that would basically be meaning you don't need that portion of SSI that is supposed to help you with room and board. Apparently, she failed to disclose that she was working with a home health care service and the Department of Veterans Affairs. And obviously she took the SSI and spent it for herself, despite having this job or jobs. I don't know if she's has 2 jobs here. Maybe she had 2 during that period, home health care service and also worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs. What I find funny is that didn't she realize that, assuming these are 2, legitimate enterprises, and I know the Department of Veteran Affairs is, and I assume that the company that was providing the home health care services is, they're going to be reporting that you're hired because they want to write off as an expense, whether it's 1099 or W-2, that you're doing work for them, that it's a business expense for them to run their business. So I don't know how she thought she was going to get away with it. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, obviously. And they go on to say that the maximum total sentence she could get is up to 10 years in prison and a fine of $250,000 or both. Under the federal sentencing guidelines, the actual sentence imposed would be based upon the seriousness of the offenses and the prior criminal history of the defendant. I have a feeling they're going to go light on her, assuming she doesn't have a really thick history, but I don't know. We'll see. I wish there was a way to, I don't know, kind of cross-reference when they come out with a sentence. Well, that's assuming she's convicted, of course. So that this all could take years, or if she takes a plea, it can happen a lot faster. So anyway, interesting, huh? Can you believe that someone actually tried to steal from welfare? I thought that didn't happen. Really? Okay. I'm just being wise. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Thank you for joining and taking a listen to this video. If you have any questions that relate to this or anything else with regard to Social Security, disability, retirement, SSI, etc., please do feel free to post it in the comments below, even if it's not necessarily related to this video. And I will see them. And if it's something I can do a video on, I will be happy to do that. If you are looking for representation in a current battle to prove that you are disabled, whether you have applied yet or not, and ideally, if you have not applied yet, that's when we like to come in and start from the beginning and do our wonders. You can go to joydisability.com, look up to your left, and there's a little link for a free SSD evaluation, and we will take a look at it and let you know one way or the other. If you are looking for a consultation, not representation, or you can't get representation for whatever reason, or it's a non-representational type of issue you need to review, you are more than welcome to order a prepaid consultation. It will be with me personally, and that link is on that same page, joydisability.com, but over in the upper right. Anyway, thanks for staying tuned, and I hope to see you every day, 9 a.m. with our little video shares or live Q&A if you want to join me live on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.